All right, Shalom. This is your brother Yawanathan. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. I want to give them honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Now, in this article that I'm going to go through, it's about the parallels and differences between a king and a public servant. So we're going to go through and as we go through the list, you'll realize, like, damn, it isn't that different. Now, what brought this lesson to mind was yesterday we were talking about, Tuesday camp here in Dallas. We were going into how the nation of Israel being in rulership is going to be a benefit to all the nations, not just ourselves. We're going to be set up for the benefit of the people, for the forwarding of life in the earth. The earth needs new management. Right now, the earth is in complete decay. Every time you cut on the news, oh, we're running out of this, we got to do. The earth doesn't run out of stuff. It's like a body. It replenishes itself. It was designed to replenish itself. But because of the management, the people are mourning, the earth is mourning. But there's a remedy for it, which is that change in rulership. So that's why when you go to Isaiah, the 14th chapter, and let me go get it real quick. Verse 6. So Isaiah 14:6, it says, "He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth." All right. And we know that Esau was given the fatness of the earth. The earth was given into the hand of the wicked. And he's going to be the last kingdom before the kingdom of heaven is established, pursuing the second Ezra 6 and 9. All right. Continuing on in verse 7 here in Isaiah 14, it says, "The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yeah, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laying down, since the wicked have been taken out of power," right? Isaiah 47, sitting in the dust. Once he's taken off of that throne, that is the beginning of the healing of the earth and the people. Verse 8 again from the top here in Isaiah 14. "Yeah, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us." Now, you got to cut down trees to get wood, but this devil does everything in excess and imbalance. Apostle Ramab did a lesson a while back going into the history of the trees that this devil cut down here in America. How he cut down, because there's trees that give off pollen and there's trees that accept it. How he cut down the trees that were giving off the pollen, and then he replanted them and cloned them. So now it put all the trees and the pollen in excess, which is the source of a lot of people's allergies during a particular time of the year. This devil just does everything out of the way. He's the problem. All right. Now back to the article. The first point on the differences side, it says the source of power. I'm going to read it to you. It says a king's power, and I'm going to put the article in full in the description box. It doesn't it fits. It all fits. It says the source of power. A king's power typically comes from hereditary or divine right. And in our regard, all right, if Lord willing, I'm a part of that number, right? The covenant was made with us, and the elect of our nation were the same spirits before the foundation of the earth. Okay, so it's a divine right that we are to be in rulership over the thing that we help create. Again, if I'm a part of that number. Meaning they inherit their position from their family lineage or are believed to be chosen by a deity. All right, when in the scriptures, let me go get that the elect were chosen before the foundations of the earth. This is Ephesians 1:4. It says, according as he hath chosen us in him. Let me start up here. Verse 3, Ephesians 1:3. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, who hath blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in the Mashiach. Verse 4, according as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. So there were spirits that were chosen before the foundations of the earth to stand stiffly for the things of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai and to come out on top. And carnally speaking, they're not going to look like the these godly spirits. These, they're not gonna fit that bill, carnally speaking. To back that up, let me go get James 2:5 just to back what I'm saying. It's James 2:5. It says, "Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom, heirs, which he hath promised to them that love him?" All right, so back to the article. Brought that point out. It says the king's power typically comes from hereditary or divine right, meaning they inherit their position from their family lineage or are believed to be chosen by a deity. A public servant, on the other hand, is typically anointed or elected. Same thing. The elect of Israel, we were selected, handpicked, and given unto Yahweh Shai for our position to help forward life in the earth. Public servant, on the other hand, is typically anointed, appointed, or elected to their position by the public or a government institution. And the highest government is Yahweh, man. Man's goings are of the Lord. Govern, to control, mind. He's he's the father of spirits. He directs all the spirits. Now, the second point here on the differences side, it says scope of authority. Kings often have supreme power within their kingdom, with their decisions and edicts having the force of a law. Now, in the kingdom of heaven, all the nations are not going to have a choice in the way that they follow. They're going to come up to Jerusalem to learn the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And it's not a restriction unto them. The understanding they're going to be given is going to be a guardrail to protect their lives, a guardrail from death. All right, let's go to Micah, the 4th chapter here. And we'll just start from the top. Micah 4:1. It says, "But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain," now the mountain, that is the government of the kingdom of heaven. When you go to Isaiah, the 9th chapter, let me go get there really quick. Isaiah 9. In 6. Bear with me, guys, while I pull it up. Isaiah 9:6, it says, "For unto us a child is born, Yahweh Shai. Unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder." So what we were reading in Micah, the 4th chapter, that government, of course, is going to start with Yahweh Shai. There's going to be a government in the kingdom of heaven. It's going to start with Yahweh Shai, then King David, and the chosen on down. All right, so Micah 4:1 again from the top. Let's go back. It says, "But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and the people shall flow unto it." So this is going to be the sole world superpower in the earth. Okay, verse 2. "And many nations shall come and say, Come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." That's also a cut to the people who are in the land today, because the nations aren't coming up to Israel to learn the ways and the laws to keep. And as you go further down in Micah, the 4th chapter, it talks about when we go back to the Holy Land, how there's not going to be war anymore. It's actually the reversal of Joel, the 3rd chapter. We're living in Joel, the 3rd chapter, which is the militarization of the nations. Let the weak say I'm strong. Everybody's gearing up for World War III. So, according to prophecy, they don't fit it. Because when we go back to the land, when the actual descendants of Jacob go back to the Holy Land, all the nations are going to be subdued under who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. Okay? But yeah, the law is going to go forth out of Zion. That too is not happening. Okay, so let's go back to this list here. And we're going to read it. It says, scope of authority. Kings often have supreme power within their kingdom, their decisions and edicts having the force of law. Public servants, however, have a defined scope of authority, and their decisions are subject to rules. Our decisions, that's why the Lord's going to write within our inward parts in the kingdom of heaven, because we're going to be given new bodies, a new frame of mind. We're not going to be able to go off or sin or go against the will of the Father. So even, here, these are basically the same. Any decree that a man of the Lord makes in the kingdom of heaven is going to be on point, because the law is going to be written within his inward parts, like the scriptures say. All right, it says public servants, however, have a defined scope of authority, and their decisions are subject to rules, regulations, and oversight mechanisms. So I'm bringing this article out to show that, our rulership, the heads in the kingdom of heaven, it's going to come with perks. Yeah, we're going to have substance and resources, but it's not going to be for the sake of solely filling our own bellies. It's going to be for the sake of righteousness going forth in the earth, life being able to really be lived. There's a precept that comes to mind, and the brother, got to give credit where it's due. The brother Osman Wah put this up in the chat a few days ago. We were a Mark 10, all right? And let me jump down here. I believe it is around 42. This is Mark 10 and 42, but in the NLT, all right, for the listeners out there. Mark 10 and 42. So Yahushua called them together and said, you know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many. And the elect of Israel are coming in the stead of our big brother Yahushua. You see? Beautiful precept. Now let's go back to the list here in the third point on the differences side, which as we're going through it, you're starting to realize that, damn, really there isn't a difference. Yeah, the perks, so to speak, may be a little different. The perception of the person's importance may be a little different, but essentially the function is the same. We're going to be kings, but we're also going to be public servants, man, to help keep things on track and for the law to go forth in the earth, which is the law is equal to life. Right now, we're just perceived. We're not even perceived as public servants. We're perceived to the majority as a, just a terror in the earth, the prophets of doom. The titles they want to give us. The believers see us as, these are men, but we're not. Man, we're doing a public service. We're the avenue in the earth, the utensil that the Lord is using to allow people to be sober-minded, to see through the funk, the spell that's been casted over them. But the third point here on the differences side is accountability. It says kings are often considered above the law within their realms and are not typically held accountable for their actions, except perhaps by revolt or other forms of extreme discontent. Now, the men of the Lord, the laws are going to be written within our inward parts. We're going to operate in a perfect fashion. So we're not going to do things contrary to what the Father has prescribed. So here, this is more like the kings of the world. Okay? Now it says, the public servants are accountable to the public, their superiors, and the law. They can be removed from office or penalized for misconduct. Now, both sides here, in the kingdom of heaven, we're not going to falter. We're not going to be removed from our position. The earth was made for our sakes. Let's come down to the fourth point here. It says duration and tenure. Now, our tenure or duration is going to be an everlasting kingdom. We were the only people that were promised an everlasting kingdom. The sun is never going to set on the princes of the powers rulership, on Yahweh rulership. All right? Duration and tenure says kings simply hold their positions for life. All right? And we're going to be immortal, or until they decide to abdicate. Public servants generally serve for a fixed term or until they retire or resign. They can also be removed from their position for various reasons. Point 5 here in the article, on the differences side, it says role expectation. A king's role is mainly to rule, which includes, we're in a rulership mentality. It takes that to really, when you start to long for righteousness to go out in the earth, you start to step into a rulership mentality. You start to see things from a different point of view, more spiritual point of view. All right. A king's role is mainly to rule, which includes making and enforcing laws, protecting the realm, and sometimes even leading armies. And Yahweh Shah is coming back with that great host of angels. Let's get that in the scriptures. This is 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, and we'll just start here at the top. It says, and this is the vision of Yahweh Shah coming back in the midst of Armageddon, World War III, the nations being gathered in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. This is him returning in the midst of that. Ezra was being shown this vision. 2nd Ezra 13:1. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man, this man is Yahweh Shai, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, with the angels, leading that army, like we just read in that article. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned, though that concentrated fire, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. Right, back to the article. Let's read that again. A king's role is mainly to rule, which includes making and enforcing laws, protecting the realm, and sometimes even leading armies. And that's what we just read in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. It says a public servant's role is to serve the public by implementing laws. All right, right now we're lifting up our voice like a trumpet in warning our people of their transgressions, as stated in Isaiah, the 58th chapter. A public servant's role is to serve the public by implementing laws, providing services, or managing public resources. And all of that takes place within the ministry. We're not, you're just implementing order. Yeah, implementing laws. You can say implementing order, right? Providing services, which, happens amongst the brotherhood. And the managing of public resources, man. You have brothers that have particular roles within the body. So we're rehearsing the righteous acts. We're rehearsing being a government. All right, verse 6. Not verse 6. This is point 6 in the article. It says income source. Kings typically derive their income from the state's treasury, which is often filled by taxes from the kingdom's subjects. And the scriptures say, we can go back to Micah, how the nations are going to, bring gifts, bring the first of their resources to us. Right now, our riches are being built in the kingdom of heaven, right? Through our labor. Talks about that in Matthew 6th chapter. The store of riches in the kingdom of heaven, where moth and rust, they do not corrupt. But here, if you're invested in this place, it's temporary. It's going to burn. Everything you gain here, carnally speaking, it's going to turn to dust. Okay? So what are you to be, focused on? Like it talks about in 2 Peter 3:9 on down. Like 2 Peter 3, verse 12, I believe. Seeing then this place is to be dissolved, what manner persons are we to be in all holy conversation and godliness, right? Says public servants are paid a salary from the government's budget, which is also funded by taxes, but is subject to budgetary constraints and public scrutiny. All right, so let's 7, legacy. This is on the differences side, and we'll jump through the parallels after this. 7 on each side. All right, kings often have a dynastic legacy, with their successors usually being their offspring or close relatives. Public servants do not usually pass on their positions to their children. Their successors are chosen based on merit, elections, or appointments. And this is kind of twofold because, you have to be an Israelite to be a part of this fold. But at the same time, it's not like the children that came out of my loins, they get to be part of the elected. It doesn't necessarily work that way. It's the chosen spirits who are going to operate in a very pious fashion. All right. So basically their merit according to righteousness. Now we jump over to the parallel side, all right, of a king. And a lot of those, most of those, as we went through them in the spirit, you see that there really weren't even differences. And as you look at this list, man, I don't even have to read this long paragraph. Like I said, it's in the description. But it has the 7 points on this side, too. It talks about the leadership role. It says both kings and public servants hold leadership roles within their respective spheres of influence. A king leads a nation or a territory, while a public servant leads in a specific area of public administration. Both. They're both, basically the same thing. Point 2 was responsibility to the people. Responsibilities to the people are the same. Accountability. Right, despite the differences in their sources of authority, both kings and public servants are accountable for their actions. Kings may be held accountable through historical judgment, revolt, or other forms of public. And none of that's going to be going down. We're going to be ruling in complete perfection. See? Similarly, public servants are accountable to their constituents, their superiors, and the law. Decision making, right? Public service. While the nature of their service differs, both kings and public servants are ultimately tasked with serving the public. Kings may do so through governance, protection, and establishment of order, while public servants do so through the implementation of policies, provision of services, and management of the public resources. Advisory roles and legacy of succession. But if you're interested, you can go read it up. Like I said, I'm going to put it in the description. And apparatus out, the lesson was edifying. So at the end of the day, the position we seek is the highest one that you could have, but it is also a humbling position. It is a position of servitude for the betterment of the earth and the people. So, Abaratazah, the lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rekah Kodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right? May the blessing of election be upon your house. Shalom.